Hey everyone. Hello. How are you guys doing? Just trying to make sure you can hear me. Think you can, because I definitely hear myself. Hello, hello. I was going to go live earlier, but some may think I'm crazy, but we are currently in a tornado warning, and I am so committed to this 3 days a week streaming that I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to just roll with it. And if something happens, then, well, you can find me somewhere. I don't know where it'll take me. So we'll see what happens. So if I abruptly drop off, that may be the reason why. But we'll just play it by ear, I guess. So how are you guys? Hello. Hey, Georgie. Hey, Sarah, April, Vault. Break the silence. Jendi, Maria Cree, good to see you guys. How are you? So, I was watching a press conference. Actually, I've watched several press conferences, and it made me human trafficking is such an issue. And I think that when people relate to what is human trafficking, they connect it to sexual acts, and that's not the case. And I know that there have been people impacted by human trafficking. Hey, Nurse Jen. April, I think I said hi to you. I believe I did, but if I didn't, hello. Hey, Irish lass. Cooch, good to see you. So I have, um, hey, sweets. I have 14 pages of notes, but I am not going to go over everything. I'm going to go over the press conferences with you. And I was going to kind of hopefully show you. One of them is with arrests pertaining to adults that were involved in human trafficking, and another one is involving kids. So, the other thing that I have is I have some facts about human trafficking from the government as well. So, it's kind of up to you guys. You guys want to hear the press conference first, or would you? hear about the facts first and kind of any in Ohio. I haven't looked at Ohio yet, although there is a database. However, they state that there's actually took notes on it. Hold on, let me find that page. Of course, you'd put me on the spot right now. I think it's at the back of my notes. Da, da. Yes, it is. Okay. It's hard to find a reliable statistic related to human trafficking. The quality and quantity of data available are often hampered by the hidden nature of the crime, challenges in identifying individual victims, gaps in data accuracy and completeness, and significant barriers regarding sharing of victim information among various stakeholders. For these reasons, data and statistics may not reflect the full nature and scope of the problem. Hey, PJ. This is crazy how this topic is. Yeah. Trending. What does that say? Hey, look at my message when you get a minute. Oh, did I is this a case that's going on right now or something? Uh, oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I'll chat with you after this, but it goes kind of right along with stuff we've talked about in the past. Megan's Law, doesn't it show all registers? Well, there is a database. What I'm going to do is, and there's several acts that have been put out there, and I'm going to link those in their entirety in the description box when I'm done. Oh, in the Maddie case. And there's several laws on it. And I think that people have misconceptions about what human trafficking truly is. This is in Florida. Yes, it is. This one is. These press conferences I'm going to show you. But they estimate that there is about 27.6 million people that were in forced labor, which is a form of human trafficking. And this was back in 2021. So if that gives you any kind of idea. Well, let me see if you guys said if you prefer to look at the press conference, or I should see if I can find something by state and kind of, because, I think that this is a topic that needs to be discussed more. If it's not discussed, then people aren't aware of the dangers. And I don't know, especially with kids, there seems like there's so many cases nowadays, and so many people are ending up dead. Did you guys have a preference at all? Just sorry, I'm just kinda seeing if you guys did. Whatever you guys prefer. Be aware of your surroundings. Oh my god, yes, for sure. And people often, um, think of forced labor in the private sector, like your domestic home, but that's also not always the case. I mean, it can happen within governments as well. Um, but there is a US law that provides liability for any legal person, including a business that benefits financially from its involvement in a human trafficking scheme, provided that the business knew or should have known about the scheme. So, oopsie, I bet sweets. Georgie, what are you talking about? Okay, so let's just roll with it. Actually, let's go to the press conference. I have this up, but first, let me show you something. So on my screen at the very top, this is Operation March Sadness. And this was the first operation that I'm going to show you. Excuse me. And then I'm going to show you Operation um, Child Protector. And so Operation March Sadness was an 8-day operation that began February 22nd and led to 228 arrests. Operation Child Protector was an 8-day operation that began February 22nd. And this is the one about the child, obviously, hence the name. And 8 suspects were charged with crimes against children, 16 registered sex offenders or predators um, with failure to comply with registration laws. And then you have Operation March Sadness 2, which I haven't uploaded anything on that one yet, but that was a 6-day operation, and that began March 8th and led to 108 arrests. So between the two Operation March Sadness, there were 336 arrests between February 22nd and the March 8th operations. So that's a big number. And that's just in one county. So kind of give you an idea about how bad it's been. And so let me show you something here. I've got this. This is a picture of the arrests for both of the Operation March Sadness that took place. It'll kind of give you a overview of how bad this is. And this does not include the children, the child protector. So it's a lot, a ton. And being that this is one county, I mean, imagine how many all over the United States. You can never be too sure. And when you look at the Operation March Sadness 2 at the bottom, if you can see that, in the center there where it's white, there's that top picture. Let me see if you can see my cursor. Oh, you can, probably, can you see it? No, you probably can't. Okay. In the middle section at the top, there's one sole picture. That is a female. So that is actually who was arranging this stuff, and she was brought over by a man. You'll hear about it. Um, this sheriff out here in Polk County, Florida, he, he's entertaining, but also he paints a very good picture of how things are. I really like him a lot. I don't know what the public over there in his area think of him, but I really like him. So, but I wanted to give you guys a picture of how bad this really is. So I'll just go ahead and start with the first press conference, and that's going to be the very top row of photos up there at the top where it says Operation March Sadness. And that is the one that led to 228 arrests. And he's actually going to tell you about these people. And it may shock you who Sheriff Grady is the best. Yeah, I really like him. He's going to tell you about it. And it may shock you the occupations that some of these people have. So let me get that pulled up. Uh, If it's too loud or too quiet, let me know. I kind of have it a little bit low. So, oh, I need my keyboard. That might help. Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us here today. This is going to take a few minutes because it was a very large operation, but I want to start by introducing you to some of our colleagues that joined us this time with this operation. We could not do this without our counselors, so I want to start with them. One more child, Jody Domingue.
Hold on. Let me fix this because I kind of cut off the. Sorry, just so you can see which one this is. Even come on. Normally, maybe I should have put the tag up higher. Sorry, guys. Oh, that's good enough. Okay.
Heartland for Children, Caden Parchment, and Saleha Freedom, Sarah Batchelder. In addition to
Hey,
that,
Nana.
this
Hey,
operation
Pee-Pee.
was on the west side of the county in the city of Lakeland, and we were assisted by several police departments. A special thanks goes to the Lakeland Police Department. We have Assistant Chief Pacheco here with us today. They donated a lot of resources for us this time, and it's really appreciative. And the support by all of these police departments was over the top. Haines City Police Department's represented today by Detective Dominez. Davenport Chief Steve Parker's with us. We also have the Auburndale Police Department with us, Detective Kevin Seymour, Lake Hamilton Chief Mike Teague, and the Winter Haven Fire Rescue was with us, Hunter Hart. And that wasn't just if things got real hot, they'd put the fire out, but I imagine they would have if it had have happened. But it's important to point out that in this county, we don't operate in silos as separate law enforcement agencies. We're all friends. We all
You guys want
respect
me to speed this
and
up
love each
or
other,
leave
and we
it?
all work together. And you're going to see the outcome when you have great police agencies work with you. I'm going to give you a lot of information quickly, and then the reporters can narrow in on whatever they're interested in. 228 arrests, 66 prostitutes, 50 Johns, and 12 others. This time we identified 13 potential victims of human trafficking. But I want to make this statement today. In 1 year, we have identified 58 potential victims of human trafficking in 1 year with these operations. What's significant about that? That is the most ever we've been able to identify. And why were we able to identify this many potential victims of human trafficking? Because of these ladies that's standing with us. We do something that most police agencies run from if they do these kinds of operations at all. We embed our counselors with us from the absolute very beginning of the operation, even before. They are every bit as important to our investigation as our detectives that go undercover and in many times risk their lives. So I want to once again thank our social service organization for joining us from the beginning. 42 of the 228 that we arrested were from Polk County. Now, those of you from Polk County know better. We talk about this, we don't hide it, and if you don't know about it, you obviously live under a rock. So you had to learn the hard way. But for the rest of you, pay attention, because this is not the last operation. We'll have more, and we'll give you the opportunity to be arrested if you're stupid enough to show up. That's a guarantee. In addition to that, 42 of these folks were married. And I've got some quotes from wives that I'll give you in a little bit. And some people say, well, this is not a big deal, but at the end of this operation, I'm going to talk about the 20.
Real quick, could you imagine like getting a call from the sheriff's office and finding out that your spouse was just arrested for this? I don't even know what I would do. I would die. Both, I would be enraged. I would be embarrassed. I would hire an attorney immediately. I'd hide my head in shame.
21 illegal aliens we arrested in much more detail. Criminal charges. Oh, it's a low-level misdemeanor, and these aren't violent people. These people had a previous history of 2,038 arrests. Did you hear what I said? These people are criminals in their own right, most of them, not all of them. 879 previous felonies, 1,159 previous misdemeanors. We dealt with 17 firearms this time by 15 different suspects. 44 people brought narcotics. 12 people came and had outstanding warrants. We appreciate that. They came to us. We didn't have to chase them down. One was a commercial pilot. We had a branch of the military and teachers, and I'm going to talk specifically about those in a minute. But the comments. One wife sent the detective a message the next day. She said, "Good one, guys. Thank you for helping me in my marriage. Keep doing what you're doing." One John said he worked overtime today and he just needed to blow off some steam. Well, we gave him a chance to also cool his heels in the county jail. Another one said, "Well, I came here because, I'm going to be incapacitated for 10 days. I got to turn myself in Monday at the county jail for 10 days. The judge sentenced me to previously." Wait, you don't have to turn yourself in. We're going to give you a ride and some additional criminal charges to go through it. One John who was married, said, "Well, sometimes you just need to see something different." Well, he did. He saw a different woman, but she was undercover. Then he got to see the jail. I would hate to see what it's like at his house when his wife, who's obviously going to watch this, finds out that he just needed to see something different. And then there was a John that was married for 26 years. He said his wife was at the Hard Rock Casino. And he was at, y'all thought I was going to say something, but I'm not. But it didn't turn out to be the Hard Rock Casino. It did turn out to be the Rock, known as Grady Town, or the county jail. Grady Town. One John was married. He said he came here to play golf. Well, I got to tell you, I've heard it called a lot of stuff, but never playing golf. And there was no hole in one. One John said he left his wife and 5 children at home. One prostitute said she'd only been here 2 days. She was here from New York to make money. And instead she came to New York on vacation, and she's going to leave here on probation. But let's talk about specific people real quickly as I go through this. First we'll start with our athletes. This is Edwin Modrino. He's 54. He's from New York City, New York. He's self-employed, according to him, as a volleyball tutor. He used to be a coach at Monroe Junior College in New York. We don't know if he's still a coach or not. He said he tutors children as young as middle school. He came for sex with a lady. He wanted to pay $150. Oh, by the way, in January of this year, he was arrested in Hillsborough County for what? The same thing. He's married, but his wife's proud of him. To arrest in 2 counties in Central Florida. I don't know if this gets to New York City or not, but we'll put it on social media and she'll have all options. Benjamin Johnson, he's from Plant City. He's a golf pro. He's also an athlete at Eaglebrook in Lakeland. That's right. He's PGA specialized teacher and coach. And he came for sex with a female, $150. He has a criminal history of cannabis and dealing in stolen property. So he can teach you to play golf, or he can teach you how to deal in stolen property or how to get caught at dealing in stolen property. Then there's Wilman Santa Cruz, not to be confused with Santa Claus. He's 50. He says he's a triathlon coach, a certified triathlon coach, and he's a triathlon athlete. You know what's strange about this? The dude showed up with meth. I mean, does that help you perform better when you're a triathlon athlete? Or do triathlon athletes who you would think would be the kind of people who took care of their body was using meth and seeking out the interest of a lady of the evening.
He's
Then
so
there's
funny.
Sergio Collins. He currently is a progressive insurance claim adjuster, but he's married. I bet his wife's not happy. And he says on his LinkedIn page that he's a middle school football coach at Lakeland Christian School. They said, no way, he is not a coach at Lakeland Christian Schools. So when you're doing your press, don't look him up online and take Sergio at his word. The school says absolutely not. He thought he was going to come have sex. But then, of course, if you're going to have coaches and teachers, you might as well have a straight up teacher. This is Gene Ahume. He's 26 from Auburndale. He's a teacher at New Beginnings High School where he teaches math and science. He came to have sex. He called it a quick visit for $60. Well, since he's able to teach math, he can figure out that it didn't add up when he came to this time. Then Brandy Barnes. She's an IT specialist at Tampa General Hospital. We're going to get to the medical world for a minute. You know, we did the coaches, we did the teachers. She has a criminal history of meth arrest, and she agreed to provide sex to an undercover for 1 hour. Okay. Then this is Luxon Jean Brinville. He's 38.
Chantel.
He's married. He's in the medical field. He's a RN, a registered nurse at Manatee Springs Nursing Home. He wanted to have sex. He has a criminal history of DUI. So you can still work as a RN. If you get drunk and drive, I'm interested to see if they're going to do anything to his license for a morals act of trying to have sex. We'll find out. Luis Navarro. He's from Puerto Rico. He's 61. He's a veterinarian. He's retired from the USDA. He came over to have sex, but his veterinarian license is still current. Maybe I can talk the judge into putting him in the county jail because we always need help with spay and neuters at animal control.
That'd be good.
This is Tracon Giles. He's from Tampa. We're going to the military now. He's a staff sergeant in the Air Force. He came for sex. And he said, well, he's done this before about 6 months ago. He doesn't learn very fast. I can't believe the Air Force would have a slow learner, but I guess they do. And then there's Jaden Hall. He's 19. He's scheduled to begin his Air Force training in May. And oh my goodness, he had a meltdown. This can't happen to me. This can't happen to me. I'm going into the Air Force. Well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Who knows? And then there's Brandon Bush. He's active Air Force as well. Air Force was the only branch of the service we caught this, or Air Force wannabes. He's scheduled at MacDill. He's an airman first class. He's not only in the military, but he's a military police officer. So since we talked about military and he's a military police officer, let's get to our law enforcement officer. Y'all Kusi, he's 23. He used to be a detention deputy for me. We fired him when he was arrested in Orange County on February the 9th. No, I take that back. He resigned before we got around to firing him. And then we arrested him again on February the 23rd. So on the 9th, he got arrested in Orange County and resigned. On the 23rd, we arrested him again, and he said, hey, is this a felony now that I'm arrested the second time? He didn't pay attention in the police academy because he hasn't been convicted yet. So while we were interviewing him, and we go, like, dude, what are you doing? You went from being a stellar employee to committing morals crimes, and it's 2 in a month. He said, I got a problem. No kidding. You got a big problem. Then there's Alex Everett. He's 34. He says he's on disability. He doesn't work. so that we're paying him to do things like have sex. He called it a quick visit. In his car, we found cocaine, fentanyl, cannabis, a gun. He picked up an armed trafficking and cocaine and fentanyl charge in addition to his misdemeanor soliciting charge. Oh, he's got a criminal history of robbery, fleeing, armed trafficking, and he spent 8.5 years in prison for some of those violent things. He says he's on disability. He's not disabled, folks. He's able to commit crime. And if you're able to commit crime, you ought to be able to go to work. He just doesn't like to work, obviously. And then there's Joseph DeBello. He's 46. He's from Wildwood. He's married. He's a plumber. He also said, let me see if I can find it here. He also said that
Oh, this part's funny.
He's a member of an outlaw motorcycle group. Now, he said a lot of things, you know. They said he, by the way, he was super nice. He's a relatively new member of the Pagans. And he explained all of this. He was very proud of his outfit. They call it colors. See, we asked him about this, and he said, well, because I have this safety pin here, we thought maybe it was for big underwear or something. He said, when you have it like this, you're sending a message to all the other different motorcycle gangs that you're just passing through and you're peaceful and you don't want any problem. So he had his diaper pin, so he didn't want any problems, but he got problems. But he told our undercover, you see, there's rules about this jacket. The rule is that, well, no one is supposed to touch this jacket. Okay, but the member, you see, no one. And you must turn the jacket inside out to hang it up. We chose not to do that too. Why we're not touching it.
Hey, Heidi.
He said that
Moonlight.
His wife was going to really be mad. And he used other words. Well, we called her. And guess what? He was right. She was really mad. And I bet the Pagans were really mad because, see, he's not been a member but just a few months. And here now he's disparaged them. And the cops have one of their jackets. And they've been handling it. And, you know, we didn't hang it up backwards or any of the other rules that they have. But, hey, Joseph, I don't know how well you do plumbing business, but you don't do very well at following the rules with your outlaw motorcycle gang.
You know, now that I think about it, and this is completely not completely unrelated, but the Amish woman who was killed in her home, he was part of a motorcycle club. I wonder what motorcycle club he was a part of. I should look into that because now it makes me curious. But just side note there. I don't know about the pagan. Like, I don't know anything about the pagans. I know about Hell's Angels.
I'm going to go over this really quick. These two guys are brothers. Omar's 16, Caleb's 17. They came down from Wesley Chapel, which is in Pasco County, and guess what? They came down to rob us at 16 and 17. We saw them slinking in the hallway, listening through the door. They set up the deal, but it just wasn't right. They were dressed all in black. They had their face covered. And when we took them down at their car, they had a BB gun that looked like a real gun. That could have gone really bad for them. But instead, they're just charged with soliciting and a bunch of other stuff. Oh, by the way, they have a criminal history for burglary and larceny out of Hillsborough County just recently. They're juveniles. We're going to see how the system deals with them to get them in line so they don't end up with the rest of their life ruined.
Now, sorry to pause again, but I do have 4 security videos of those teenagers dressed in all black. I did not put them together, but it shows them coming in and out of the elevator, going down the hallway, checking on doors and things like that. I just, even though their faces are covered, aside from at one point, one of the brothers pulled his face covering down. And so you can see his face, it's visible. But because they're minors, I didn't upload them at all. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I do have those. So you guys let me know. I mean, they're the ones that did the crimes, but at the same time, they are minors. And I try to not put any of that on my channel. But like I said, they also committed the crime and they have previous crimes. So um, you guys, you let me know what you feel on that. And it doesn't show them doing anything bad aside from going down hallways, like listening in on doors, and it looks like they're talking. When I listened to it, I admittedly did not have the audio on. I wasn't in a place to listen to it, but so it would be a first for me. So just let me know.
But before I turn it over to my colleagues here, they worked with us to make this happen. And what this is, and I want everybody to see it clearly, federal policy drives illegal immigrant crime and victimization. And that's the focus, other than our victims of human trafficking. Listen, folks, I want to introduce you to Andres Gill, okay? Here's this guy. He's also on this board, but get a look at him for a second. He came down here from New York with 3 females. All of them are in the country illegally. Did you hear what I said? They're all here illegally. He's the one that comes with them to drive them. These ladies are all controlled by a human trafficker. We think their human trafficker is a female. She sets up their appointments. She puts their ads online. She tells them where to go. And by the way, on Friday, the victims of human trafficking, and we've grayed them out, 3 of them that are here illegally from Venezuela, 3 of them have to pay her $3,000 apiece on Friday, or else they're threatened.
Crazy.
So they're not free. They're really indentured, and they're quote unquote paying off their debt. Now, here's what they told us. All right. I'm sure the federal government will verify that this is not true, but you decide who you want to believe, whether you want to believe these victims of human trafficking or the whitewash the federal authorities give you. They said that when they came into the country illegally, DHS gave them a form, an ID, paperwork that allows them to fly for free. You know, Southwest would let your bags fly free. Well, the federal government will let your illegal immigrants fly free. And they operate out of New York.
Never heard
And they
that.
were working up there, and the New York authorities said, hey, if you don't have identification, you can't work in our sex trade up here. You know, we don't allow sex trade here at all, but New York will allow you to do some stuff if you've got the proper authority. So they say they make a lot of money. They're addicted to it. These ladies are going to give you more details. They tell us that they fly to major metro centers for free on the federal government, where they set up their appointments for sex all around the country. Did you hear what I said? Listen,
Crazy.
folks, if they don't pay $3,000 a piece on Friday, they're in trouble. The human trafficker sets up the deal. Hey, this deal is just outside of Tampa. They say they show this ID, this card, this paper. They fly for free down here. Then they fly back. but we heard a similar theme from all 21 of these folks. We can't work legally. We're addicted to this cash. It's a lot of cash and it's quick, so we have to give $3,000 a week. We get to keep everything above that. We have a crisis at the border.
Oh, wow. That's crazy,
and
Sweets.
because of the crisis at the border, we have people that are victimizing illegal folks, forcing them into the sex trade because we allow these criminals in the country illegally. We all rail about this and nobody pays any attention. And then we want to politic everything. Oh, we had a good piece of legislation that limited the average to only 5,000 illegals a day in the country, and then we can shut it off. Well, if you can shut it off at 5,000 people illegally coming in this country a day, you can shut it off at no people illegally coming in this country a day. But the politicians are politicking while the victims are being victimized. I read an article this week that says, well, the illegals coming here aren't committing crime at any greater percentage than the people who are here legally. What they didn't tell you is if they weren't here illegally at all, the crime they would commit here would be zero. So we're being victimized. But that doesn't make any difference on the national level. You see, because they sit up there behind their gated communities and in Congress, and they play politics back and forth between the two parties, while illegals are victimized, citizens are victimized, children are victimized. And you got this goofy-looking kid here who's making sure that they come up with $3,000 a week apiece, and he's here illegally. It's a mess, and it doesn't have to be. If we can deal with it and catch it on the local level, they can stop it on the federal level. Shame on all of them, every one of them, for not getting together and saying, you know, there are things bigger in this country than my individual politics. So now we'll start with Jody. Jody, come on up.
Let me see.
Good morning. My name is Jody Domingue, and I'm the Executive Director of Anti-Trafficking at One More Child. We would like to thank Sheriff Judd, the Polk County Sheriff's detectives, and the various agencies that are represented here today for their continued partnership and for the ability to affect those who are being impacted by commercial sexual exploitation at their most critical moments. One More Child has been serving vulnerable children and families for the last 120 years. Last year, we served over 250,000 individuals. 776 of those were survivors of human sex trafficking that we served in Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Ohio. We walked alongside these individuals with survivor mentorship, advocacy, and mental health counseling. Several of the survivors that we came alongside of came from operations just like this one, including Amber. We met Amber at the last Polk County Sheriff's operation. And although Amber wasn't ready to disclose her victimization, she was ready to receive help. And we were able to wrap around Amber with advocacy with her criminal court case and provide her necessary resources that began her path and journey to healing. As a result of this, we were also able to help Amber identify a local church that she was able to plug into for her forever community. And now she's got a hope for her future. During this operation, we provided follow-up services to 62 individuals who came to be purchased for sex. We met with over 23 women while they were incarcerated to let them know that they had better options, that there were resources out there for them that could lead for their healing and for them to be self-sufficient on their own. We also helped identify as many as 14 potential victims of human trafficking who now have ongoing investigations. I will say with all of this great work in this operation, there were a lot of people who were arrested for purchasing sex, coming to purchase sex. And the sheriff has asked us to address that this is a significant problem that must be addressed at all levels. Lucky for us, we were in the rooms embedded during these investigations, so not only are we able to present those that are vulnerable with necessary resources, but we're also able to provide education to the buyers that what they're doing is not a act between two consensual adults, that people on the other side of that transaction are being victimized time and time again. And we are begging, imploring for our advocates around the state to utilize the resources at their disposal, including the state's attorney's office, to make sure that we are implementing the fines associated with buying commercial sex. And also that we're utilizing registries that we have. The Polk County Sheriff's Office is one of the very few that utilizes those types of resources. And we are asking that other advocates around the state do the same as well. Now, none of this great work could have been possible without our expert team. We dedicated a total of team members, including advocates, mental health therapists, and lived experience experts who were embedded during this operation on the very night of the operation happening, and then also did immediate follow-up visits afterwards with every individual we encountered that we could. I would like to introduce you to one of our lived experience experts, Stacy Ham. Stacy had a pivotal role in leadership during this operation, and we are grateful that she utilized both her lived experience as well as her expertise in providing support to those who have been affected by commercial sexual exploitation.
You can tell she does that a lot.
Good morning. My name is Stacy Ham, and I am here today as a survivor leader and mentor with One More Child's anti-trafficking mobile team. I'm honored to stand here today with the Polk County Sheriff's Office and so many amazing organizations who are continuously fighting for our survivors to be seen and heard. I can tell you that human trafficking is very rarely what we often see in movies, social media, and online. It often depicts children being kidnapped, held in cages, taken against their will, teens being stalked at stores or when they leave schools. While this may happen, this is not the case in the majority of our trafficking victims here in the U.S., and this can sometimes lead to our victims being misidentified. As a survivor of human trafficking, I grew up with my exploiters and my traffickers. I was born into a multi-generational cycle of familial trafficking where I began being exploited and sold for sex by the age of 2.
Oh my God.
What I've learned throughout my trafficking experience and from my brother and sister survivors is that so many of us have personally known our traffickers. Many of us develop relationships with our traffickers, and many of us have felt a sense of belonging with our traffickers. I can tell you, many traffickers are men, women, boyfriends, girlfriends, family members, pimps, and people that we are meeting online, all who are using grooming tactics to prey on our vulnerabilities. Any race, age, and gender can become susceptible to being targeted for human trafficking. It typically takes an average of 8 to 10 points of contact for someone to feel comfortable to come forward and speak on behalf of being a survivor or a victim of human trafficking. And I can tell you this is true. Throughout my life, I've had so many amazing people pouring into me, encouraging me to speak on my experiences and to seek healing for my recovery of human trafficking. I've had amazing mentors who have taught me great life skills and therapists that have helped me process the trauma that I endured. I stand here today as a survivor of human trafficking to share there is light and that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. To any survivor that is out there listening right now, I want you to know that all of us, we see you and we hear you, and we have teams of experts here ready to meet and serve you 24/7. We are ready to come alongside you towards your hope, your healing, and your restoration. Thank you.
She's inspiring,
Good
really.
morning. My name is Katie Parchment. I'm the co-chair for the Human Trafficking Task Force for Polk, Highlands, and Hardy counties, as well as the Resiliency Coordinator with Heartland for Children. Heartland for Children is the lead community-based care agency under the Department of Children and Families that oversees the child welfare system for Polk, Highlands, and Hardy counties. On behalf of Heartland for Children, I would like to extend a warm thank you to Sheriff Judd and all the law enforcement personnel standing behind me. The strong partnership between the Sheriff Department, Heartland for Children, and the other NGOs allows us to be on the ground floor of engagement with potential human trafficking victims to provide them with the immediate resources and help
Hey,
that they
Kelly.
need. That's unique to this area. Other areas don't give that opportunity for NGOs to be right there on the ground floor to really pour into people who are being victimized in that moment. So we thank you and appreciate that. This operation continues.
Sorry, guys. Am I lagging at all? I just wanted to check if the storm is making me lag because I would hate to keep playing this if it's breaking up. I mean, like, I don't know if you heard me when I first started the live. We have a storm right now and a tornado warning. So I just wanted to make sure that it's not breaking up. No, it's not lagging? Okay, good. Hey, Undercover Dung. Okay, perfect. I'll continue.
To be an outstanding example of collaboration, compassion, and community engagement. Each and every law enforcement officer, detention deputy, and volunteer operated in grace and professionalism, and we appreciate it. During the course of the 8 days, we were given the opportunity to engage with and get to know every individual that came through the door. I would like to thank them for being open to speaking to us about their current circumstances, engaging in discussions about human trafficking, weighing out the implications and safety concerns of being in the life, and briefly unpacking the trauma associated with it. We were also able to discuss what adverse childhood experiences are and obtain a few attendee scores. Several of people who completed the ACEs screening had a score of 4 or more, which is considered a high ACEs score and indicative of a history of trauma. Not only were we given the opportunity to speak to potential human trafficking victims, we were also able to educate the buyers on the role they play in the cycle of abuse and trauma that may have endured over years. There was one common thread that was quite evident when speaking with the women in the life, and that was resiliency. I would encourage you to continue to build on that resiliency and reach out to our partners for help. Hope Florida is a free program that is designed to help individuals work through barriers for self-sufficiency and community resources. With the help of resource navigators, we are committed to staying engaged with families beyond the first phone call. If you need help, contact Hope Florida at 850-300-HOPE. United Way of Central Florida 211 hotline is a 24-hour, 7 days a week resource dedicated to helping people find community resources and local programs that helps with everything from everyday basic needs to more complicated necessities. And then fileandhelp.org is a free comprehensive website with a variety of resources and providers that are unique to the area in which the users live. These are just 3 among many outstanding programs that are doing the work in our communities. Please take advantage of these free resources to help strengthen your resiliency and response and reposition your life to a sustainable and safe occupation. In closing, please remember, and I'm speaking to anybody who may be in the life or may be being trafficked, that you are more than your current circumstances. You are loved, you are wanted, and you have an amazing testimony ahead of you, but seek the help because we are here to help. Thank you.
I'll put all the numbers and the agencies and the resources that I found as far as like the acts that were enacted by the government into my description box that protects victims of human trafficking. So I'll get that included after the stream is over.
Hello, my name is Sarah Batchelder, and I am an advocate with Sail of Freedom. Like many of these ladies said, when we meet individuals who are being trafficked during these operations or through other means, they don't often raise their hand and say, I'm a victim of human trafficking. It takes many different encounters for them to feel comfortable enough to share that, or even to understand that that's actually what's happening to them. So if you are out there and you feel that you may be being victimized, please reach out. Sail of Freedom offers safe homes. We offer therapy. We assist people in attending court hearings where they're able to testify against their traffickers. And we can be reached at 1-888-FREE-ME.
Wait, am I crazy or did you guys just see a thumbs up, big thumbs up thing on the screen? Like, was that just me on my end? Or do you guys see that too? Like, what the hell just happened? Can you guys see that? That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I don't know if that's a YouTube update, if that's a Streamlabs update, or what. Or if I'm hallucinating. You saw it twice? Oh, weird. I haven't seen that on any streams, so it weirded me out. I was like, what in the hell was that? Sorry, I had to stop and ask about that because that was just really strange. I'm assuming that's for liking the video, so if that's the case, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that very much.
Morning, Assistant Chief Pacheco with the.
Oh, sorry again, one more time. Missy, I did see your comment as I was getting ready to go live about you speaking on losing a friend to human trafficking, or not to human trafficking, but that was in human trafficking. And I'm really sorry for your loss. I'm truly sorry. And I hope that you find some healing from the loss of your friend. Yeah, don't speak on it if it's too soon. Never feel pressured to speak on the loss of a loved one. It's very difficult, and you should be able to speak on it if you want to, when you want to, or don't. That's your choice. Nobody should make you speak on it.
Lakeland Police Department. Just want to thank Sheriff Judd and all of his team and my team that participated in this operation. What's disturbing to me is that this was just one operation, and look at how many people we arrested and how many victims of human trafficking that we identified. What happens on the other 364 days a year that we're all driving around our city and our county, and what's happening right underneath our noses? So there are tons and tons of victims out there who we have yet to identify. And it's only through these operations that we're able to at least identify some who we're able to help. So from our agency, from the Lakeland Police Department, we're proud to partner with all these other agencies to be a part of these operations, and we'll continue to do so as long as there's a need to do so. Thank you.
Good morning, Steve Parker, Chief of Police for the City of Davenport, and the Davenport Police Department. And I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. You know, we stand alongside with Sheriff Judd and the rest of these other law enforcement agencies in these kind of operations. I mean, you can look at the numbers and tell it's a needed task. It's something that needs to be done. And you know, in Polk County, we are blessed to have law enforcement agencies that work well with each other. We have that great partnership. But I think what's important in these operations to note is the collaboration and the partnership we have with these organizations behind us. You know, it's without them that we don't see the after effects. We don't see the hard work that goes into helping these victims get out of these kind of scenarios. And I think for me, I think that's the key to these operations: identifying them and getting that help that they need afterwards. And that's where these ladies come in at. And again, I just want to say thank you to Sheriff Judd and to our partners here for all the work that we did this past week. Thank you.
This one's almost done.
Now what happens is we gather all these cases together and we send them to the state attorney's office. And we're fortunate in this state to have Brian Haas as our state attorney. He is simply outstanding. His team is outstanding. He gets it. He gets the 30,000-foot picture. He gets the ground picture. He is an advocate for the victims, and he's going to prosecute the suspects to the fullest extent of the law, for which I'm grateful. But with that, do you have questions of any of us?
Sure. So within the span of a year, you were able to rescue or identify 15 victims, potential victims of human trafficking. This is a new record for you. So is that indicative that this problem is growing worse year after year, or?
I think it's indicative that we are finding the victims. We have seen, and you have covered for years in the media, about the human trafficking problem across the United States. And Florida, being a vacation state and a sunny state, is certainly no exception to that. It is also an attribute to our NGOs because, as Chief Parker said, they see them for the long term. If it was a one and done on the night of the arrest, these numbers wouldn't be 58. We'd be lucky if they were 3. But they continue to follow up and continue to follow up to rescue them. So while I'm totally excited because we've never seen these numbers, the biggest problem we have in this type of investigation is getting the victims to admit they're victims because they're more afraid of their pimps and the human traffickers than they are of the criminal justice system. And it's only through the work of these ladies and their teams that happens.
That's sad.
Yes, ma'am.
You said you think you know of a woman who, like you just said, was human trafficking people and women. How important is it to you for you to find those people and arrest them?
Oh, absolutely. That is the next wave of this investigation. We know she's Dominican, and we know she is currently in Miami. So if she doesn't get her illegal Dominican butt on a plane and fly back out of this country, we're going to be on her like a good hound dog on a trail. That's a guarantee. Anything else? Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you next time.
Okay, that was that one. So, what did you guys think of that one? Let me turn. Oops, I got to slide my thing over real quick. And switch screens. What are you saying, Vault? Oh, I can't even see any of that on my Streamlabs, so I didn't even realize. But thank you. No worries. I love that sheriff too. The other one is the one with the children, and what I might do, and I don't even want to do this, have to do it this way, but what I might do is play the one with related to the children's case, and I think that that one's extremely important because most of us either have kids, know of someone with kids, and if you close your eyes, the sheriff sounded like Dr. Phil. Oh gosh. I could see that. But I think that that one is important because you can never be sure. We see kids, go outside, play by themselves, or, and people have this idea of what trafficking is with children, but this will showcase what's happening not only with the children, but with their parents. And because I'm having a storm, unfortunately, and the tornado warning, I am a little bit on edge right now. So what I might do is play this shorter video, this press conference, and then I will schedule something for tomorrow to finish the rest of it. If you guys want me to open the panel up, I can do that as well. I'm just a little bit nervous because I have to go down to the bottom of 3 floors to get to my storm shelter. So, and I've got a German Shepherd that does not handle lightning well whatsoever. So if that's okay, if you guys don't mind that, I might just finish out these videos and then cut it kind of early so I can go make sure everything in my house is taken care of. So let me get this pulled up. And this one is pertaining to the row on the bottom. So let me turn my screen back on. Did I show it? Okay, there we go. You be safe first. Yeah, well, we haven't ever encountered a tornado yet, but it says that there's supposed to be tornado warning until 1 a.m.
About an operation
Oh, geez, that might be kind of loud. Let me turn this down a little bit. If it's too loud, let me know.
where we arrested 228 people for prostitution and human trafficking. At the same time that operation was underway, we also had another operation underway where we were specifically searching out sexual predators, deviants who were focusing on or targeting or wanting to have sex with children. And that was our primary mission. And as I've said before, it takes a lot of people to put these operations on. And if we'd only arrested one person, the entire week would have been worth all the investment. But we arrested many more than that. But that's not possible without our colleagues and our partners. Today, I have representing the Lakeland Police Department who worked with us, Ty Thompson, who is a captain. We also have Sheriff Crawford from Hardy County, Lieutenant Austin Leal from Auburndale Police Department, Lieutenant Dell Hampton from the Lake Wells Police Department, and then from the State Attorney's Office is Monica Smith. Brian Haas,
Real quick, Irish Lass, I see your comment. You said with tornadoes, it's when it gets silent outside that you need to run. Now, we don't have any rain, and I don't hear thunder at all, but I see the lightning and she can see it even through the curtains, and she's spooked by even that. She'll just run and try to jump on your lap or anything, but it's really strange. You don't hear any thunder and there's no rain. But my phone went off before my live saying that there's a tornado warning. Hey, the crazy cat lady. No, I'm sorry. I called you crazy cat lady. Crazy lady. Okay, I'll go back to this.
State Attorney, is simply the very best. And he thinks, like all of us think, that it is unacceptable for these sexual predators to roam around and attempt to engage in sex with children. He recognizes how dangerous they are. Now, Monica is the tiniest person of our group, but she's the baddest one. When she gets in court, she is going to hold these people accountable according to the law. And they may look at us for our size, but they need to look at Monica for her determination to keep the people and the children safe. And I appreciate Brian appointing you to that position. But today I'm going to go over some snapshots. And in addition to these folks that were arrested and the one that's wanted, I want you to understand that these folks are those folks Those folks have already been through the system, and we're going to talk about them. But understand that these folks will be those folks, and some of them are already on that list. So let's go over and talk about a few of the ones we arrested. This is Willie Merrill from Plant City. He's already designated as a sexual offender. So see, he's on this list because he's doing it again. But he was also on that list. In 2005, he was convicted of having sex against a 16-year-old child. Back in the day, he was sentenced to 1 year in prison and 9 years of probation, and then he was sent to us. In 2017, we arrested him for soliciting prostitution at one of our ops, much like this, but it was adults he was soliciting. In 2017, at the same time, we charged him for failure to register. So we charged him with new F3s, and believe it or not, for that misdemeanor 2, he ended up with 364 days in jail. Well, normal people would say, hey, I don't want any more of this. I've already been to prison. I'm on sex offender status. I've gotten caught again at an op, and they sent me back to the county jail for a year. But you know what? He is a classic example of how they never change their stripes. If they're not locked up, no matter what status we put them on, no matter how many times they have to check in, he's out seeking deviant sex with children.
It's so creepy.
In this particular operation, he's online, which is a violation of his condition, and he sees an ad that our undercover people put online. And he goes to an undercover location thinking he's paying dad $80 to have sex with his child, only 15 years of age. So he was charged with 2 counts of travel because the first day he traveled but didn't come to the operation. The second day he traveled, and that's when we arrested him. He was also charged with using a 2-way device. He was also charged with a felony of the 1st degree, human trafficking, commercial human trafficking, because he was going to pay to have sex with a child. He lawyered up immediately. He wouldn't talk with us. But in his possession, he had 4 $20 bills and a condom, which matched exactly what he needed in order to commit this crime. So you see, despite his various arrests, his various incarcerations, he's still at it. Well, now we've got him charged with a 1st degree felony, and our goal is that he goes to prison. He's 45, a good 25 or 30 years, which is about the max you can get, would be good, unless we can get the judge to run his other charges consecutive. He needs never to breathe air outside of prison if we want our children in the United States safe. But then have I told you before about Larry Hayes? Larry Hayes is 41. He's from Plant City. He's married. Did you hear what I said? The man is married. He just retired from the Army on February of 23. He retired from the Army as a staff sergeant assigned to satellite systems analyst. And then he came back into the service working for the Department of Defense, working at MacDill in a high security area. He had security clearance. He came thinking that he was going to have oral and vaginal sex with a 15-year-old child, and he was going to pay her dad $250 for the privilege. Now, there's a video we're going to look at. Do we have that keyed up now? To see him as he came into the lobby area of this hotel. Is it ready to show, or are we going to show it at the end? He doesn't have it queued up yet. Okay, we'll show it to you at the end of the operation. Keep in mind that he immediately tells us, I'm there to rescue her. Well, the reality is we rescued some child from him. He doesn't have any criminal history until this arrest. So he's charged with soliciting a guardian to travel, which is human trafficking. It's a first-degree felony, okay? Along with communications devices and that sort of thing. All right, next is Edmundo de Salva. He's 36. He's from North Carolina. He's married, and he is a TSA screener. That's right. You know the guy that you got to go through the line at the airports? This is him at Raleigh-Durham International Airport. This is who the federal government trusts to screen you. Makes you wonder when they want to do extra screening on children, doesn't it? So he thought he was going to pay $100 to Dad to have sex with her daughter. Well, so happens Dad and daughter are undercover folks. But what did we do? We saved children from being victims, because if he hadn't hit on our ad, he might have hit on another ad for a real child. And when we asked him what he was doing here, he said he was on his way to South Florida to attend a birthday party. Well, we don't have birthday parties at the county jail, and he didn't make it, and he's locked up. All of these guys I'm talking about are still in jail. They're not out. And then he sprung this on us like his DOD buddy. They're really not buddies, but they think a lot. Hey, I've had TSA training, and I was here to do my own investigation. Well, too bad, buddy. We're taking you to the county jail, and we're going to give you some screening on the way in. And he traveled. First-degree felony, human trafficking. Then there's Hassan Abu Halia. He's from Brandon. He's 27. And he's married. Does it ever occur to you that there has to be some mad wives? If there's not, they should be mad wives, and they should be ex-wives. It's like, hey, you might as well move on with your life, because upon conviction, these guys are not coming home. He said that he worked as a customer service at a customer service center as a call supervisor. And he said that he worked for AT&T. AT&T didn't want any part about that, and they did not confirm that at all. He's a Jordanian citizen, but he has a permanent resident status in the United States. He thought he was paying $100 for a half hour of sex, and he thought he was paying it to a mom, and in turn was going to have sex with her daughter. Well, that's a first-degree felony. He's still locked up.
These people are so demented.
And then there's Lewis Nelson. He's 29 from Tampa. He said that he worked for Bosch and Loam in Tampa. And they would not confirm that. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to take credit for this rascal being around either, but we confirmed it through pay stubs. And he also said he drove for Uber Eats. Now listen, folks. I know everybody's got to eat. But we see the weirdest dudes driving and delivering packages and Uber Eats, that they'll steal stuff. They'll try to have sex with your kids. You got to be careful who you invite to your house, because then they know where you are, and if they see your children, they see that too. But he solicited a guardian for sex. Oh, did you know that he's a Haitian citizen here on a work visa? We did an ICE notification just so that they would be aware. We also notified the Haiti government, like I'm sure they care that he's here doing this stuff. But he's also locked up with a first-degree felony charge. And then there's Brandon Ray from Mulberry. He works at the school board as a mechanic. He did not travel, but he agreed to pay Dad $100 for sex. He said he was worried and scared to travel because he was scared of law enforcement in Polk County. He said, you know, that Grady don't play. Well, he's right about that. When we arrested him, he admitted, yeah, that's me. And then he tells the detectives, you know, I still respect that Grady Judd for all the work he does to protect children in this community. How many brain cells do you really have? I mean, like, you're the guy I'm trying to protect the kids from with my great detectives and those from the police department. I appreciate you respecting me. I hope you like the accommodations at the jail. Just thinking out loud. He didn't travel because he was afraid. Then there's Manuel Canasi from Land O'Lakes. He's married. He's got 3 children, 17, 13, and 19. He's a laborer. He did not travel, but he was charged with unlawful two-way communications, using a computer to solicit a guardian for sex. He wanted to have sex with a 15-year-old child. You have children the same age. And he's out wanting to victimize other people's children. He was willing to pay $100 to have sex. He sent a screenshot of one advertisement that went out that was calling us out. And then this is his quote. That sheriff is a hard ass, end quote. And he doesn't play, quote again. Well, right on both counts. And he's also locked up, even though he didn't travel. He was afraid.
I hope that guy's
So then there's
DHS
John Adams.
Looked into
He's
his
not
own
in custody
kids
yet. John gets an extra big picture because he's outstanding. Now, folks, y'all know John. He's a contractor. He works in Lake County. He lives in Dunedin. He's the local guy. He chatted. He was going to pay $380 to have sex for 2 hours with a 15-year-old girl. He was going to pay Mom. And he talked very, very filthy. We can't even say those words. How bad are they? They're worse than the words your mama used to wash your mouth out with soap for saying when you were a kid. I tell you that. And he talked about all the vile and nasty things he wanted to do.
Gross.
He's a filthy talking rascal. Well, John, he's not any kin to the second president, or, as far as we know. John, you might as well turn yourself in, because we're coming after you. We're going to find you. Yeah, we know that you're hiding right now. So you can go to jail, or you can go to jail tired, and how you do that's up to you. And for friends, relatives, somebody that may know where John is, if you call Crime Stoppers and tell them you can stay totally anonymous, we'll give you cash, and he'll go to jail sooner rather than later. He's out, and he's capable of having sex with your children. Now, I want to remind you of an independent press conference we did last week of Robert Miranda from Titusville. He was not a registered sex offender here, but he was living part-time here. And this is a guy that was masturbating
Hey, Stitching.
and tried to get a little girl, a 9-year-old girl, into the car by saying, "Have you lost your puppy? Come look at this brown and black puppy." And the 9-year-old girl ran to a friend, and we charged him with a lot of things. This guy, as I explained last week, is horrifically dangerous. The courts yesterday just rejected his appeal for bond, so he's going to be in jail until he's tried. Our goal is to send him to jail forever, but guess what? In a different part of the state, he was on that list. And because of his conduct, there was new charges. He went here. He was not part of the operation, but he was one of the arrests of someone who was there. So when you look through the group over here, it's important to understand, and I want to underscore this, do not think across the Tampa Bay area that these numbers are any larger than the other metro areas per capita for the population. So you'll have greater numbers than us in Hillsborough or Orange because it's a greater population. But those kind of folks right there that we arrest, keep this in mind. There are 1,256 registered offenders in Polk County alone. 1,188 of the 1,256 are for trying to have sex with a child, or they did have sex with a child, and they served their time, and they have sexual offender registration. Of the 153 predators in Polk County, 126 of those charges were as a result of conduct against a child or threatened conduct against a child or a minor. Now, understand, when you go on this list as an offender, you have to register twice a year. And we're supposed to go out and lay eyes on you by state statute once a year. In Polk County, our detectives go out and lay eyes on you 4 times a year. A lot more than the state requires. Predators also have to register 4 times a year, and we check on them 4 times a year in addition to the registration. But that's all we can do. This is the ones we know about. And of this 1188 and 126, or if you look at the totality, 1409, we arrest people every week for violating this status. So that was the other part of our operation, not just to catch the new ones, but to make sure where these folks are. And they violated. Now, these 2 guys are at large. This is James Johnson. He's 39. He's a sex offender. He's from the Lakeland area. His last known address was 1406 offender. He's from the large.
Sorry, I'm going back a second. Real quick. I think that many places across the United States could take inspiration from the sheriff and should follow in his footsteps about being proactive with checking in on these offenders. Because even people that he had already mentioned, said that they knew that Grady was a hard ass. It's ingrained in them that, well, okay, if I do this, he's constantly in the back of their mind. But who else does that? That someone's scared to even go commit these crimes because they're afraid of him.
This is James Johnson. He's 39. He's a sex offender. He's from the Lakeland area. His last known address was 1409 Dawn Heights, off of the east side of the county. But we don't know where he is. And that's part of his new criminal charges, which is an F3. His previous charges was having sex with a minor and impregnating the minor. He served his time, 3 years in prison, back in the day, went on sex offender status. We want you to know there's a reward out for this rascal. And then there's Antone Starks. He does not particularly know James, but he gets to have his picture out here. He's a sex offender. He was last known to be on St. Paul Drive in Winter Haven, and that's just down the road here, about a mile. He's at large as well. And we want him for the same thing we want Johnson for, failure to maintain an address. He was in prison for 5.5 years for a sex offense, plus an additional 5 years for registration violations. So he's been to prison already 10 years. Well, when we find him, we're putting him back in prison for some more violations. You see, when these folks aren't locked up, they're a danger to society. Keep your kids close. Know where they are. Know who they're with, or they could end up with somebody like this. Now we're going to ask our colleagues and our teammates a couple of them want to speak with you. We'll start first with the Hardee County Sheriff, Sheriff Crawford. Sheriff Crawford is determined to keep the people in Hardee County safe. When we arrest these people, make no mistake about it, they come from other parts of the state here, and that's when we catch them. But whether it's Polk County or Hardee County, Hillsborough or Orange, wherever they are, if they're not locked up, they're dangerous. Sheriff?
Thanks, Sheriff Judd. And what he says is true. It's an ongoing thing, and per capita, where violations are in Hardee County being smaller, of course, we have less violations, but they're out there. And I want to thank him and the agencies that helped out in this investigation and got these individuals off of the streets. What is happening with the children by these vile people it's inconceivable, really, and it's hard for people to understand why it happens. But again, with the state attorney's office, I'm thinking that we're going to do good and keep these people away from our children. Human trafficking is something that is on a lot of people's mind these days, and it's got to come to the forefront like it has here. And I want to again thank Sheriff Judd and the agencies that has helped out to keep these people off the streets. Thank you.
You guys have very southern
accents.
accents.
Next is Captain Ty Thompson, a dear friend of mine and a professional law enforcement officer. His agency helped us immensely during this entire operation. Captain?
On behalf of the Lakeland Police Department and Chief Sam Taylor, I'd like to say, as a representative of the Lakeland Police Department, that we were fortunate to have participated in this operation, as well as many operations in the past that Sheriff Judd has included us in. This operation
He has long earlobes.
The greater Lakeland area, which benefits our agency and our community greatly. I would like to commend all the law enforcement agencies who participated in this operation and their continued efforts to keep our children safe in our community. If our goal saves just one child, then we have successfully completed that mission, but our goals are to protect all the children. So again, thank you to all the agencies that participated and to Sheriff Judd and his agency for their professionalism and their guidance in this human trafficking effort.
Thank you, Captain. Do we have the video up? Okay, this is the lobby of a hotel, and what we have is an undercover person that's going to be setting and waiting on one of our deviant predators, thinking he's coming here to pay for a child.
Just look right at the camera.
You see, he's giving him the money. And when he gives him the money, he's going to escort him down to where he thinks it's a child in that room, but he's surprised that it's not a child. The key's supposed to work, but instead he's just going to knock on the door, I guess. He doesn't know how to use the key. There you go. He's a slow learner.
Surprise!
Okay.
Put that door shut quick.
All right, here's the second one. The lower corner is our undercover. He's blurred out. And in just a minute, there's a man coming in here who thinks he's going to pay dad to have sex with his 15-year-old daughter. And here's some small talk. I'm going to go have sex with your daughter.
Hey, Gina Marie.
I mean, what do you say to the guy whose daughter you're about to rape, you know? This won't take long. This is insanity. Now, when he waved, he was waving to one of the undercovers that he thought was the girl. So once he saw the girl, hey, she's real, then he pulls out his money. So talked to dad, saw the girl, paid the money, and he doesn't realize it, but he's off to be arrested. But if it weren't for us operating undercover, this would be a child that was attacked.
Does he walk up? How'd the girl get upstairs so fast? Does he walk up there with her?
Calmly, coolly. Okay, I think you get the idea. Okay? Any questions for us?
People watching, I know I'm thinking, do parents really do that? They really like kids like this on these websites?
If they didn't, then these people wouldn't come to us, but they absolutely do. They sell their children.
So can you speak about these websites at all?
Well, I don't like to talk about where other people can go look for these, but the people who do it know those websites well, and they're there. Now, that takes us to the next step. Why in the world doesn't Congress make these IT people responsible for that content? Instead, they step back and say, oh, it's just passing through our servers that we're making billions of dollars on. We're not responsible for it. But you know, if we can create this immense technology that you can ask, you can talk to your phone, ask it any question, and in 2 seconds get the answer back, we can stop this conduct. See, before technology, before social media, it was very, very difficult for a sexual predator to hook up with a child. And now it's very easy because you can hook up with the child, you can hook up with the parents of the child, you can groom the child, you can groom the parents of the child. We see these sexual predators that actually take up with mom who's divorced in order to get access to the children. But these IT companies could restrain this by content checking. But they don't. Because you know what? They really don't care. They're after profit and they don't care.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Have a good day.
That's crazy. That's these parents, and the parents that do this are they're disgusting. Absolutely disgusting, and they don't deserve kids. Period. So gross. Such a come here. My dog is freaking out. Statute for internet providers is they cannot knowingly have CP or exploitation on their servers. Yeah, I wonder I wonder if that applies because this is going to sound crazy, but well, never mind because who's going to have Starlink if when they could just have their phones? I don't know how these people are communicating with these parents setting this up. I don't even know what service these people are using to do this. But it's all gross. It's the thought of even thinking about doing this is just disgusting. And since we don't actively look, yeah, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try Googling it. Nope. I already get paranoid looking up true crime cases because I'm like, this shit is gonna be on my Google history. But I know that this may be informative to you. Maybe you've seen it before. A lot of people know who the sheriff is. I will plan to come back soon. I just want to make sure that my roof's not going to fly off, or who knows, fly off in a nasty tornado, or what might happen. But I just want to make sure my family's safe and my pups are safe. So unfortunately, or I would keep going, but I think that for safety purposes, I should probably end this one. I can do a part 2 coming up. But being in IT, I've had to confront people looking at work. Yeah, I've worked CP cases before, and that stuff never goes away. It's ingrained in your brain, the stuff that you see. So I will stay safe. And those of you that I speak to outside of YouTube, I'll keep you updated if something changes. Before my stream, I told Well, I'm like, if something happens, you're gonna have to. I'm giving you my login, and you're gonna have to end the stream for me because that just might be the only way to end my live. So, but anyways, I will come back. I apologize that I didn't finish this part. I will see you guys in part 2 for sure. If you guys wanted to come up and talk about this with me, send me a DM on any of my social media platforms. I have not been on IG in the last few days, but reach out to me. I'll try to get into my DMs and check those, and I can send you the link to join in part 2. And I appreciate you guys being here and spending your evening with me. Can't believe it's been almost 2 hours. And I hope that you took something away from this live and you'll take something away even more on the next one. And again, thank you so much for being here, and I will catch you guys soon. Take care.